The HGC continues, and boy, do we have some spicy matches today. But before we go into it, I need to let Caldor get a little bit on the jealous side. I got a nice little fidget spinner now here.
Yeah, you know what? I actually bought one too. Mine is a little bit more man-sized though. Guys, we have great games here today. We're actually starting things off with the Playing Ducks once again after they just lost yesterday.
Yes, the Playing Ducks coming out, but also Tricked eSport. We got to witness them yesterday, and boy, they were able to earn a victory, but was it one that they can do often here? It was a 3-2.
Yeah, it was a 3-2, and the Ducks were actually not really happy about this entire setup there. But Tricked, as you said, they have the 3-2 victory, and you know, they looked sharp. They really looked sharp in their series, so... You hold it? You're looking at the entire...
I mean, it looks really big. Can I hold it? Can I?
Sure.
Jesus. Okay, you can keep that. No, please keep it back.
We'll put that over there for now.
Jesus, that thing is really, really heavy. But let's get ready for the matches. Playing Ducks and Tricked eSports playing today, and I am actually very excited to see Tricked eSports. Make obviously coming in yesterday and showing that he's here to compete.
Yeah.
Had some moments where I'm like, all right, you definitely need to be refined, but I'm happy for day number 1.
That kid played 5 heroes in 5 games yesterday, so you can really tell that with a new addition to the roster, they still have a few things to figure out, but overall, as Alex said afterwards, they are actually doing quite well, and the team spirit seems to be very high.
Yeah, team spirit very high, but will it be crushed by the Ducks today? Let's go ahead and talk about the standings and see where our teams are currently at here on Phase 2. Remember, we did have a reset as of a couple weeks ago. So here we are, Tricked eSport up at the very top. Man, never thought I'd be saying that with a 1-0. The Zealots as well, double on that with a 1-0 here. We're gonna have more matches later on the day, but we will finally get one of our top 3 back. Team Liquid playing later on.
Exactly. Team Liquid playing later on against the good guys, and I have to admit, I'm really hyped to see Team Liquid again. They had a few moments in the last season where everyone said, okay, they are a bit in a slump. They themselves said, hey, we're struggling right now. Things are a bit tricky. Our communication is not exactly where it was before, and the coordination just wasn't there.
Yeah.
But they told me that right now they feel a lot better. Of course, they still have to prove themselves in the meta here, but at the same time, they go up against one of the newer teams. And it's going to be interesting to see if the good guys are going to have success against Team Liquid or if Antir is just going to run it down mid again.
I mean, I truly hope so with Team Liquid that they do come in prepared, because their last 5 games, just to paint a picture, they only won 1 out of the 5 series that they were in, which is pretty crazy to think when we think about Team Liquid. Let's go ahead and talk about the schedule. When will you be able to see Team Liquid? Words are hard this morning as they take on good guys. Later on, No Tomorrow and Team Freedom will be facing off for North America. And later on, Gale Force eSports versus Team Naventic. Boom, that's going to be a good one.
The new Gale Force. I'm eager to see it. I'm actually very excited for this series.
Well, to start off the day here, though, in Europe, we have just as exciting of a series. Tricked eSport versus the Playing Ducks. Tricked with the 1-0, Playing Ducks down to 0-1.
This is one of those games that I'm super hyped for. We saw that battle last season already several times. It was always close, and usually the Ducks looked a bit more... It looked a bit stronger, just a bit more coordinated. Tricked struggled, especially in 5th games, as we said yesterday in particular. But now they broke through the curse, you could say. But this is a series that I am super hyped for, because last season they were so close, and now we have that battle right at the start.
Exactly, and I mean, you were hyping up the Playing Ducks a little bit. They've been looking great in scrims for the last couple weeks. Yesterday, not so hot. The Zealots came out, which gives the question here, is Zealots that good, or the Playing Ducks having an off day? Which today, I think we get that answer here against Tricked eSport. Let's go ahead and hear from the players themselves about the matchup. Did you expect to walk out with a victory in today's first series?
No, like I expected us to lose. Like our team was talking about whether we could come back when we were back this year, and I was like, nah, this series is over, but let's play it anyway. So,
what a great leader. Look at you, man.
Yeah, that's why I'm not the captain. That's why Crosby is.
Okay.
So generally I want to go over the swap a bit more first. So Infernal was our best individual player, but the problem was that we didn't have me on comfort heroes, and we didn't have Remmer, like the 2 frontliners calling, which we really wanted to. So that was our main reasoning for the role swap. We think the Infernal is a really good player, and we are all happy that he's on Playing Ducks now. But Make is just like, yeah, he's really great. And he started out a bit rough, like in the scrims when we started practicing with him. But right now, as you can see, like he's on level with all of us. He's gonna be one of the top talents by the end of the HGC.
Tricked eSports is also, I think, a good matchup for us. We lost against them in the qualifiers, but they were pretty close matches, and I think we're gonna have a good best of 5 against them. It's gonna be a good games.
Okay, my goal of for HGC and like this season is like I want to become a better support player and like one of the best support players. Before I was like kind of not sure if I should fulfill the role as a player, and like I was always like struggling and thinking about maybe pursuing something else or like doing something else. But now it's like I want to show that I'm not just a support player, but one of the best support players.
Okay, Tricked eSport. We lost in the second qualifier against them, 3-0 for them when they qualified, but it was close games. So I still think that we have a decent matchup against them, and they have Alex DeProci as their leader now, who has led a lot of teams to victories, and it's a very strong factor for that team for sure. And that is the reason why they will always like have a shot.
I feel like I say this all the time in HGC, but I hope we get 5 games out of this series between these guys. Mostly because I want to see what Unleashed playing Ducks looks like. We got to see Trick eSport earn a victory. They broke the curse that we kept talking about. So they're in a good spot here where I think they can continue to grow and become better with their new player. But Eternal, one of the best players in HGC Phase 1 that we know about mechanically, is now here for the Ducks. And he needs to be let go and unleashed, you know?
And let's not forget, Eternal is actually coming from Tricked. So there is...
Grudge.
Oh, it's not really a grudge match, since we heard Alex say that he really expects him a lot. But as he said, it's a little bit.
Yeah, a player leaves, you gotta beat him, right? It feels good, you know. Like, all right, you're on a different team here. Let's show you that we're the more powerful team, right? You get that masculinity flowing.
I really liked that yesterday, though. That Alex kept talking about how they really respect Eternal as a player, how they feel he's one of the best that we have in Europe.
Yeah.
And then just said, okay, it just didn't fit in our team. We needed just roles changes. We needed people on different heroes, and with Eternal, that just wasn't possible. And you're smirking at me the entire time, and I don't know why. What's happening?
It's because my comment was really dumb. I was hoping they just wouldn't say anything about it, and I don't know why. Just looking at you, it's kind of one of those danger zones that I just go into. And I'm like, please, Caldor, don't pounce on this, because normally you would.
I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't do anything.
I know.
And then you keep smirking, and I'm just like, do I have something on my face? Did Kelly paint my nose red? What happened?
Kelly made you look good today. Kelly always rocking it here at the HGC. Okay, game number 1. It's Battleground time. Where are we going? It's going to be Cursed Hollow. Trick eSports with the pick, which means the Playing Ducks will be getting first pick.
Yeah, we're going to see them with the first pick here, and I'm actually pretty excited to see how exactly this is going to match out now, because so far we have seen, I would say, a very clear tendency to what we have seen at the mid-season brawl. We see a lot of Uther as a first pick, if not banned out. Anubarak has a very big priority. Loving the set, by the way, Josh, good job. We still need to talk about Sky Temple and Dragonshire. But yeah, so I would think that this is probably going to continue, that particular trend here. And Abathar is, of course, another hero that we have to watch out for. Last time he was banned immediately on Cursed Hollow and other maps. But it seems that all of the teams that haven't traveled to the mid-season brawl adapted the meta that was played there.
Yeah, they've moved into it quite well here. The thing about Abathar, too, is that Cursed Hollow was banned pretty often at MSB because of the Abathar effect.
Yeah.
Here in Europe, we haven't been seeing those bans so much. Teams seem to be ready to play them here in this entire series. So expect a lot of Abathar, at least a ban or a pick for our teams. And there's always that Genji effect, Genji being picked up very often. I know Chris in particular has been looking forward to playing the Genji. However, we've been seeing Sport Billy playing it more often. So here we go. It's time for Cursed Hollow. Let's get it all figured out.
Alright, so on Cursed, once again, we're looking for a potential ban on Abathar. It would actually shock me if Abathar would be let through here. And then other high priority picks that we see on the map, or bans at Ahaka for the global mobility. You control the map with the side soak that you have through the Ahaka. In the late game, of course, he comes especially online. And then we're also talking once again about Uther and Anubarak.
There's your boy Ufer getting banned out right away. There he is. It's the first ban for our teams. Abathar will be the instant response here from Tricked eSports. And Tricked kind of having that burden of banning out the Abathar, but you expect it from them. They usually don't like playing weird shenanigans. Yeah,
now the question just remains, what are the Ducks going to open with? We talk Genji, we have Anubarak, of course, as one of the heroes that could choose, but they go for that global that I just mentioned a few minutes ago, where we have the Haka with the side soak, getting the extra experience, and here comes Anubarak Genji. So it's a pretty normal opening, and this is one of the things that we see in basically every meta that develops, that you have a few core heroes that usually dictate the beginning of a draft, and then you branch out from there on. And right now, we have the Ducks going straight into the Grey main, so everything pretty traditional, but here already comes the first curveball heading into the D.Va.
Wow.
And I like that, because yesterday we saw D.Va banned against Tricked. So there was a chance that Tricked actually wants to pick this one.
Yeah, because Tricky showed D.Va, what, twice yesterday?
Yeah.
I think nearly 3 times yesterday in their series against their opponents. And so the Playing Ducks make the adaptation here. One, we don't want to ban it out. We'll go ahead and pick it up ourselves here. Typically, you see a Tyrael pick up with that Grey main or a healer, but they're willing to make sure to adapt their draft here to handle what Trick Esport has available for them. I love the movement here for the Ducks. Now, Trick answers back with a Malfurion ban. Now, the Ducks are on their own spot. Which healers would like to ban out or leave up so they have their own choices?
It's an interesting dynamic again, because for the longest time we had really strong support chokes in Heroes of the Storm. Then more supports got introduced, and all of a sudden people still kept talking about support chokes, but they didn't really exist anymore. There were too many healers that were actually viable, but by now we have a very high priority on Uther, on Malfurion. And when you take then other heroes like Rhaegar, maybe even Oriel away, then you're all of a sudden in a position where it gets even scarier. Leave my hammer alone.
You don't understand, guys. Like, you need to be impressed. That thing is heavy. I'm not gonna lie.
I love
it. He tried to hand it to me. I took my left hand, which is my weaker hand of the two. Just a little fact for you, a little tidbit. And I literally just fell for a second. I had to grab both hands. That thing is incredibly
That thing is
heavy.
amazing.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic toy. I love it.
Is that still available in the gear store? Can you actually pick that up?
I hope so.
I think so. You meant to grab your own from
I'm
home.
tempted.
Yeah, get ripped. So the RL being banned out here. This is going to be a Rhaegar Goldan pickup for Trick Esport. And now the Playing Ducks will be in a spot where they have to wonder what healer they want to move into.
I mean, at this point, you already know that you're talking probably about a Kharazim. I don't think that on this map against this setup you can run Morales and Nubarak and Genji are just going to dive it too hard, and there's Kharazim as expected. And we see a Diablo with it. And can I just say for a second that I absolutely love that the Lord of Terror is back. It was really about time. We've seen a few players do exceptional things with him also at the mid-season brawl. He wasn't a high priority, he wasn't a hero that you've seen in every single game, but on certain maps, in certain scenarios, he can just absolutely shine, and I love that this is becoming a thing. Especially since we have some extremely talented tank players in Europe, and seeing them on a Diablo again, trying to get those stuns and those combos off is just awesome.
Part of it comes down to Genji just being in the meta so much. The click and point is so great for being able to lock him down if he overextends or overgoes for that back line too quickly, and Diablo being available now has been great. And then also, the strength of Devil's Due. People have done a really good job of utilizing that talent to be as effective as possible. Now, Trick Esports will answer back with their final pickup, and if Alex and Pro G doesn't get his Bay D.Va, he's got another Bay in his back pocket, and that's going to be Arthas.
Yeah, Arthas is always a staple for Alex. He can play the Anubarak, he can play the Arthas. He loves to play Arthas, and this is probably what we're going to see here. But it's definitely an interesting setup that we are running right now. Also quite melee heavy, I would say, on the side of especially the Playing Ducks.
Yeah.
And I'm curious how they are going to fare today. I was so hyped to see them yesterday, and then the Zealots came out swinging, surprised everybody. And now we're talking about the Ducks. Are they going to have a really rough start into the season with 2 losses, falling to Trick now as well? Is Trick really going to pick up that double win heading into our second phase? And it's just great, and I want to see the first map and see who takes the lead here.
I mean, looking at drafts right away, I think the Playing Ducks draft do move into their favor. They're good at being pretty aggressive and diving into a backline and really trying to force situations to work out in their favor, especially when they have a Medivh available. But I'm scared when I looked at Trick Esport. The Arthas is great for stopping that type of dive. He's so anti-dive. And then you have Goldan that if you're actually not able to get in that backline and kill him off, he'll get free poke with so many melees being available.
Yeah, exactly. And this is one of the things that I want to see as well. Also, when we're talking Gul'dan, we always talk Horrify. And just imagine a really good Horrify coming in as Greymane makes this move. If you time that properly and you get the kill against Greymane, a lot of the damage that exists on the side of the Playing Ducks will be gone within seconds. So I think it's a really cool draft to start things off with, because both teams have their strengths and weaknesses depending on where the fights happen. But yeah, I'm ready.
Let's shake it out, man. Game number 1. It's going to be Cursed Hollow. Playing Ducks taking on Tricked Esport. Who's going to be able to pull out advantage with their compositions? We'll see now. It's time to shake and bake.
Let's head straight into game number 1. Ladies and gentlemen, we find ourselves on Cursed Hollow as Tricked Esports and the Playing Ducks go up against each other. And to the left side of the map in blue, Knappe on Rhaegar. We have Rema on Anubarak for Tricked, Crosby on Gul'dan, Genji played by Make, the new player in the team, and Alex the Pro G on Arthas.
Over to the right, in the red, it will be the playing Ducks. Diva will be played by Sport Billy. Wolf Joe will be on Karazim. Nande on Diablo. Chris on Greymane. And Ethernal will be showing off the Dehaka.
So once again, I just want to highlight quickly that especially Marke did an exceptional job yesterday when it came to the diversity. He struggled in certain situations a bit, just adapting to the pace, but we know that he's an extremely talented player, as Alex highlighted after the game in the interview. And that also was reflected with him playing 5 heroes in 5 different games, really shining there. So it's going to be interesting to see how much he can do on his Genji here. But for now, we have a 5-man in the mid lane. The Ducks are just running it down.
Yep, at the same time, Trick is in the top, pushing in their own turrets as well, and both teams will be opening up the walls. Now, will they make the commitment to move in towards forts? Probably not, especially for Trick eSport. They don't have the auto attack damage that the playing Ducks do have with that Greymane. So the playing Ducks, after breaking the wall, will pull away, and we will go back to laning. A bit of a weird start, but we've got it all figured out.
And just so you guys don't freak out, there's occasionally a bit of an error with the graphics here. We see the playing Ducks any second heading into the second level right now. That might actually be the reason why Remaballer is currently pausing the game here. It's very rare, but it occasionally happens in the custom game that the experience doesn't show up on the bar up at the top. And that is something that will fix itself over time. So as we just saw, a level 2 hit on the side of Tricked, it's also going to hit any second now for the opposing team, so it's not like they didn't gain any experience here.
Well, let's talk about that strategy while we're waiting here.
Yeah.
The 4 in the top and the 5 in the middle. Typically on a lot of strategies for different battlegrounds, you can't quite pull that off because people can rotate in, but with Cursed Hollow being so large, if you see a lot of people in the top lane, just go ahead and commit. Break down the turrets. They're pretty easy to break down. Get that experience, jump up, and then spread out to your laning. If we were to see the playing Ducks in that scenario take their members and try to rotate up, they would have lost out on experience and also lost out on turret pressure in the top. So a good answer by them.
The only thing that you have with this strategy now is that I think Trick played it a bit better since they had 1 hero in the mid lane to soak experience, and they had 4 at the top. And if you look at the pressure that they put onto the lanes, both destroyed the wall and not more. But we have a slight lead in experience, and that results into 1 hero being in the mid lane to soak some of the minion waves. So a slight lead early on, but of course, nothing too crazy just yet.
Let's get back into it and watch as the experience goes ahead and trickles in for our 2 teams. Here we are back in the Cursed Hollow. Now, we still have Trick a few people in the top, and we're going to have our spreading out occurring. Diva and Diablo, interestingly enough, will be in the very top.
So Dehaka already moved down to the bot lane and made sure that the Ducks were catching up in experience, at least slightly. We have still the split with 3 heroes in the middle here for Trick. And Genji has taken the top lane, as he said, against Diva. But already you can tell that the fort at the top has taken a severe amount of damage thanks to the push that Trick executed early on. So when it comes to the structural position on the map, they are slightly ahead here. It's a small advantage, but it's there.
Small advantage that can be really opened up more. I mean, we always talk about the Giants at 2 minutes, and I feel like we repeat it very often on this broadcast, but it's something that you have to worry about with that turret being open in the top right. If the tribute does spawn on the bottom, playing Ducks may have to consider to give up the tribute just to defend that top lane because they could lose a fort early in this matchup. Make moving in there, he'll break the Diva mech and put Sport Billy in a spot where he's in pilot mode.
Yeah, so against Genji, that's never really a good position to be in, so he needs to be very careful here. But we already have now that the 2-minute mark has been hit, the 2 camps taken. So once again, we're talking about the early RNG on Cursed Hollow, where you don't know, is the tribute spawning at the top, at the bottom? Both of the teams taking the Siege Giant camp, and one of them will get a slight lead because of the tribute position.
If you're playing Ducks, you're really hoping the tribute spawns on the top there so you can defend both and be fine and really try to walk away from that early game advantage Trick eSport was able to grab. The thing also, too, for the playing Ducks is they do have Dehaka compared to Trick eSport. They don't have that global available as you would normally expect on this battleground. So the playing Ducks hopefully can sustain well based on that tribute.
Yeah, at this point, the tribute at the top lane working in their favor, as we said. We have still Genji there. And this is now for Dehaka, of course. The Ducks are in a fantastic spot. Not only do they have the Siege Giant camp at the bot lane and the tribute top, but it's also Dehaka on that lane. So it couldn't get any better. Most likely, we're going to see Trick give up the tribute, maybe trying to stall it out a little bit. But they are actually putting the pressure onto the opponent, especially with the help of Gul'dan.
Yeah, and at the bottom, they're really keeping that pressure on the Dehaka, keep him away, Arthas in particular. Make keeps up with the harassment. Nande, though, grabbing a regen glove, won't mind too much for the while. However, the playing Ducks do have to be careful. Trick eSports does have pretty good poke between Make and Crosby.
Yeah, there's the zoning already happening, channeled by Wolfjoe. We could see the interrupt here if Marke goes in, and indeed he does. To the bot lane, we have still that battle between Dehaka and, of course, Arthurs. But over here, the fight still continues in a 4 versus 4 situation, and Dehaka hasn't made a move to the top yet. But Remaballer is looking to sneak around. Tribute taken by the Ducks as they take that slight lead towards the objective.
Good pickup from them, and you can see Nande and the strength he has against Genji. If Genji's next to a wall and you're able to go in for that harassment, while Genji can be annoying, as you mentioned yesterday as a hero, he is a hero with a relatively small health pool. So one combo from Dial will put him down to a quarter health. So we had to have Maki retreat away from that fight, and that allowed the Flying Ducks to move in and grab said tribute.
Yeah, I'm actually curious to see how this is going to develop once we hit the level 10s, because there's a lot of potential for a couple of combos being set up as well. Especially when we're looking towards D.Va, I want to see how much of an impact she can have in the team fights. We said yesterday that if you use the self-destruction in a really nice choke point, you can either zone the opponent or just zone an area. For example, during a boss fight, making sure that your opponent won't be able to contest the boss itself if you time it properly. And these are things that especially Trick has to be concerned about when it comes to the macro game.
It's always hard to make the decision there. Do we go all in because we see self-destruct come out, or do we all pull away? What do we give up? And you have to make it in a quick manner because you are put on a timer due to that self-destruct. Now, Trick eSports clearing out the middle here, dealing with the Flying Ducks in the rotations, but already the Ducks are in a great position to move in for this tribute. Can they control Make? He's on his way to harass.
Yeah, he will have to interrupt. Oh
wow,
my god.
Chris.
Nice. Well done here. Second tribute taken, blocking the shots from Genji. Marke had a chance to go in with a swift strike. The big problem is if you do that, you're going to have a really rough time getting out of there. You can, of course, use your trade to jump back out, but it's a little bit risky, so they did not want to do this. But Trick feels forced to make something happen here, and they are attempting to go for a boss.
Yeah, they're really watching up at level 10. They're thinking about that, and they realize this is their moment to try and force something out of their opponents. And force they do. Alex Aproji coming in. They're on top of Nande, Dehaka, rotating with the Brush Stalker.
Yeah, they're trying to slow him down here even more, and they do. Crosby in the backline, firing away. They're trying to go for Nande. Defense Matrix is online, but Diablo is dead. And we have the kill for Trick. They don't get the boss, but they're able to get a kill. And now with 4, they're pushing through the mid lane as Arthur starts to rotate to the bot lane for more experience.
Yeah, they get a slight experience lead here, 9-9 here, slightly ahead. And they also got the turret low, and they are in a good spot here to grab this tribute. And this tribute is important. They grab this, they can make sure to play safe to get that level 10. And they're already set up for it. Look at Goldan in the bush, controlling anyone that can come their way.
Yeah, right now we have the tribute. This is one of the tributes that the Ducks can give up. First of all, the level 10 is really close for Trick, so you don't really want to be caught in a fight where your opponent hits the heroic ability while you don't have it. The Ducks have 2 tributes against 0, so they can simply give the first one up. And they go to the top lane, take their own boss. Trick is doing the same thing here, so it's more or less an even exchange at this point. The teams are still very, very even in this first game.
Yeah, super even here, and they're both at 10, relatively next to each other, so no major fight could happen, no blow-up moment. Flying Ducks will push the top, and Trick eSport will push the bottom. Now, here's where I'm curious. How will both of our teams handle this pressure? And so far, Trick eSport has taken the opportunity to push in and at least secure the fort, while the Flying Ducks have spread out. They're looking to grab experience with this boss.
Yeah, they are currently doing exactly that, but now that the 2 towers have been taken down, we're having Trick rotate with a few heroes into the mid lane. I don't think they can actually take D.Va down. That would be quite surprising, but they are going to force her back at least to secure some experience for themselves. So I like that too. Both teams are just, they're really cautious. They're really sitting there saying, okay, which fights do we want to take? How do we prepare the map for later? They're opening the map up right now. Take some forts down, increase the distance to safety for your opponent, and just try to play for the objective.
Yeah, Trick has started to naturally group up, and their comp lends towards that a little bit more than the Flying Ducks, and that's why you see them more as a unit of 5. They also have to move in and fight this tribute, and they do step forward. The concave slightly better for the Ducks so far with Dehaka maybe coming in, but Trick eSports is willing to move in.
Yeah, Dehaka will of course try to get one of those licks against the backline, especially Crosby has to be careful here once that happens. The bosses are still on the map. Dehaka is about to come in here. Here comes the self-destruct. The drag does not hit though, that's the problem. And we have at the same time Mech online once more. Sport Billy going in as we have the silence and Cocoon being used towards the right side. But the Bunny Hop trying to slow down the rest of Trick, but they are getting the kill and they get the second one as well. D.Va down and so is Diablo.
Make is just shredding here, using Drag Blade to kill off multiple members, looking at Chris and Eternal. And we have to shout out Nape here. Hang on, a drag does hit on Rimmer. Rimmer is fine, he's able to pull away. Have to shout out Nape. Make was in a spot where he would have gotten hit with the Apocalypse and he probably would have been burned down, but Nape instantly brought out the cleanse, which allowed Make to bring his Dragon Blade into the fight and start shredding away. Solid play by Trick Esport, and they grabbed the tribute.
But you could see what the Ducks were trying to do. They were attempting to time the self-destruct of D.Va with the lick of Dehaka.
Yeah.
And if that hits, if you start the self-destruct, as
Fight
Dehaka
over.
burrows in and gets the drag, you are more or less guaranteed a kill. And once that's the case, you are fighting against an opponent who is one hero down and have a huge lead here. So Trick takes the tribute, but you can see what the Ducks are trying to do here, and that is scary. It's still, I mean, we have 3 kills against 0, but if you look at experience, if you look at the objective, then it's incredibly even still.
It requires coordination, and just looking at the heroics, you can tell the playing Ducks are looking for that one kill in every single fight. Self-destruct into the drag, but also 7-sided strike being picked up here. Maybe they can burn down an Arthas if they get that drag, so if the playing Ducks can pull it off, that would be wonderful. The Tricked Esport team will have to make sure they don't allow that to occur. A big flank occurring as Tricked Esports moves in. They're not quite 13, but they're trying to pinch their opponents here in a choke.
Yeah, there comes the first stun. They're trying to go for a noob, but Rema is attempting the stun. Doesn't get it. The root hits, though. Nande finds himself eating a lot of free damage. But the camp that was not quite playing Ducks is getting value towards the left side. The fight, on the other hand, could very well turn in favor of Tricked.
And we have APOC here. Crosby's working in the harassment. Nande's getting low. Dragon Blade's going off. Make is in a decent spot here. With the Reflect, we'll get a kill. 2 people down. Wolf Joe maybe as well. No, he's able to get out, but Nande not so lucky.
Nande falls and Tricked is racking up another 3 kills. They're 6-0 in kills now. And I have to say, seeing D.Va yesterday and now here for the Ducks, it feels like she doesn't have the impact that they were hoping for.
Yeah, not quite there. She has a hard time against Gul'dan in particular. The Fel Flames just chunk her through, make it much harder to go for the engage and control space. And also, we're just not having the D.Va being able to get out that self-destruct. The Dehaka, and not quite fully there for them to get that synergy that we were expecting from them.
Yeah. I really like what Tricked is doing here, going straight for that keep early on in the game, already opening up a lane and a massive win condition for themselves. This is the boss lane as well.
I do want to yell out, the self-destruct that we saw yesterday were usually around mercenary camps or pointed contention to where you could get the engage. It's not quite happening here. Cocoon across the map, though, lands on Eternal.
Yeah, Eternal tries to go and he's like, I got this. And then all of a sudden, Inubarak says like, nope, not today. Nande is low, by the way, and Rema wants the kill, so does Crosby, but it's Inubarak that falls. The fear not working in their favor. And it seems like Nande is able to get away here. This is crazy. This looked like such a great fight for Tricked, and then they were a bit too over-eager to make it happen.
Good news for Tricked is they still got the keep in the bottom right, but I want to yell out the self-destruct that we were criticizing there. That was a good one. It was the middle of a fight that Tricked Esport had already wanted to move in for, and they tried to go for the engage. And there was a miscommunication, it felt like, as 4 people from Tricked Esports disengaged, and Rimmer got stuck on the right side. They were able to lock him down, bring out the 7-sided strike, and burst him into a kill.
Overall, the map is still, of course, very much so in favor of Trick. They are closing in on the level 16 talent. We have 6 kills against 1. They have more than a level lead over their opponent, and the Ducks have lost the first keep. And with this boss that is taken now at the bot lane, that is actually starting to threaten the core here. And we are talking about an opportunity for Trick Esports to end their game, since they will have level 16 on top of it. It's a very aggressive approach. And if they follow through with it, they're very likely to lose their own keep at the top. So they need to get value out of this if they want to really follow it.
I think they need to threaten it for sure, and they're going to go ahead and threaten. They're moving forward, can maybe grab Giants here as well.
Here's the problem. If they only threaten and don't really put damage onto the core, they will come out of this behind because they will lose their top keep. And this will be a trade not worthwhile for them. So they have to really commit. If they can get kills there, that would be fantastic. But the APOC is great.
Sporbelly comes in. Isolation on Gul'dan. It's solid here for Eternal, keeping Crosby alive. But Nape will keep Dehaka at bay. And Trick Esports has weathered the storm of APOC and D.Va. They're going to go ahead and turn around this fight here with a 16 town advantage. advantage.
This is not good. 2 heroes down, Diablo back, thankfully, but the boss is on the core, and Tricked wants to end it. They still have the Ancestral, which is huge for this battle that is now starting around the core here, and Tricked eSports is just going for it. The Ducks are losing so many points on the core. They're going to lose this first game, Trick.
They are. Tricked eSports grabs a early victory here with a 1-0, decides to make the all-in call on the bottom right, is able to live through the apocalypse and the isolation, and Tricked eSports earns that victory.
Tricked is just on fire right now. They just took that game off the Ducks, and again, I'm shocked. I've seen the Ducks in scrims. They looked strong, they looked solid, coordinated, and absolutely on point. But right now, that loss yesterday has apparently really completely thrown them off their game. They lost here the first map. The series is by no means over. But Tricked is looking as if they have a lot of momentum heading into that series, and for the Ducks, I think it's a bit of a mind thing.
I mean, call out to Make there. Make absolutely destroying on that Genji to a point where it's like, okay, maybe we need to take away this Genji from our opponents because Make looks very comfortable there. Crosby is always there to back him up, and Nape is just playing lights out right now, man. I can't believe how many times he was there for his teammates. He had a cleanse on the top left that was perfect, and then he also had a save in the bottom right on the Goldan that was isolated.
I really like the team fights, also from Nubarak. Rema was always in the right position. The cocoons were on point. They were able to drive the fight away from it so that they get the full duration value. And I just feel that D.Va did not have that much of an impact here. We've seen so many really nice fights in the last series yesterday where we had a lot of teams working around the self-destruct, getting the position, getting value, getting kills. But in this particular game, it just didn't really happen. Even in that last fight, we had such a great position for them with the Apocalypse too, but then they lose their heroes. They are, of course, a talent down, which is making it much more difficult for them. But if you take that fight at this point, you need to get kills or you know you will lose since the boss is already marching towards your core.
Yeah, I feel like the game plan changed multiple times. It was in the first couple of stages, it was Hail Mary. We throw the self-destruct and hope to get a drag and pull somebody in. Didn't work out twice.
Yeah.
And then it became, all right, just drop it in the middle of a team fight. Maybe we can spread somebody out. Worked kind of. They got a kill on a Nubarak, but that bottom right corner, it just did not pay off at all. Sport Billy sadly not able to make it work here. And you need to have that coordination, especially against this high level of play. If not, they're going to spread out and they're going to punish you heavily afterwards. And that's where a majority of the pickups came from Tricked eSport.
Yeah, so Tricked now winning their 3rd game in a row, so their 4th actually. Keep in mind they were able to make a reverse sweep happen yesterday, so they won off 4 maps in a row. It's the first one against the playing Ducks, but they have the lead in the best of 5. And we just started our 2nd phase, and therefore, if Tricked makes it happen today, a 2-0 into the season, that would be fantastic for them. But for the Ducks, it would be a devastating moment, so they are going to throw everything into that next game.
Especially a team that I feel like would do really well with momentum. When they started winning towards the end of phase 1, there were times where it's like, can Trick be stopped? Because they really just started to come together as a team. If they can start this season with a 2-0, going to next week, you got to be scared if you're playing against them. Let's go ahead and get ready for the 2nd battleground of this best of 5 series. Where exactly are we